As someone who does photography and videography while working a 9 to 5 in tech, I want my workflow to be as streamlined as possible. In this video, I'll talk about Sigma's 17-40 f1.8 lens and its performance in the real world, if it benefits or hurts efficiency, the scenarios in which I think it will shine, and the fit to my workflow compared to the two lenses that it will be replacing. So, does it actually deliver, or is it just another overhyped release? Here's what surprised me. First up, let's talk about the real-world performance. There are already tons of videos online that dive deep into the technical aspects. But let's talk about what actually matters when you're out there shooting. In my case, I wanted a lens that I could keep attached to my camera for almost everything. Wide shots, portraits, low light, you name it, without constantly swapping glass. Honestly, I didn't expect a lens like this to ever come out, so when Sigma released it, I was skeptical but intrigued. Previously, I relied on a couple of lenses and switched depending on the situation. My goal now is to keep my lens on my camera as much as possible, as I mentioned, with only a few exceptions. For super wide shots, I would use my TT Artisan 7.5mm lens, and for super tight shots, I would use my Viltrox 75 f1.2 lens. In terms of sharpness, this lens surprised me. At 17, 28 and 40mm wide open at f1.8, the sharpness is really good. Stopping down to f5.6 at those same focal lengths, even sharper, actually as expected. Now when we talk about low light performance, this is another win. For example, when I'm out there doing shoots for customers that are restaurants, this lens just nails it. Now performance is great, but there's actually one area in which this lens can actually slow you down. Let's talk about the good things first and how it boosts efficiency. In my case, one lens will replace two. I bought it to replace two lenses with similar focal lengths but weaker aperture and low light performance. Carrying one lens instead of two makes shooting and traveling just simpler. Additionally, we have the f1.8 aperture. This is a huge benefit because I don't always need extra lights and I don't waste time switching lenses in low light scenarios. And we also have the internal zoom. This lens doesn't physically extend when zooming, so I don't need to recalibrate a gimbal if I'm using one. This is a time saver for when you're in the middle of a shoot. So in which cases does it hurt efficiency? First of all, we have the focal range because it is limited. It tops out at 40mm. If you're used to longer focal lengths, then you'll still need another lens. For my work specifically, 40mm is fine, but I can see how that can be a limitation. Second, we have the single point of failure issue. Replacing two lenses with one means that this lens is a single point of failure. So if this one breaks, I'm stuck. This means that for crucial shoots, I have to think of backups. And additionally, we have the size and logistics. This lens is bigger than the ones it replaces. For example, it no longer fits neatly in my Peak Design 3-liter sling unless I remove the divider and place it sideways. Accessories fit, but barely, and not all of them. For bigger setups, I need my Peak Design 6 liters, which thankfully I already own. Without it, it would have been a real problem because I would have had to account this into my budget. So tell me one thing, how many times have you missed a shot because you were swapping lenses? It happened to me quite a lot. Drop your worst lens swap fails in the comments, because I know I'm not the only one. Also, if you keep forgetting gear where you go out on shoots, my gear packing list may help you out. Check it out in the video right here. So now let's go into the value analysis, because this lens is not cheap. So is it worth the price, or are you better off with two specialized lenses? Let's crunch the numbers. The Sigma 17-40mm f1.8 costs about €1,000 or $1,000, depends on where you are. And to match this range and speed with two lenses, you would likely have to spend on a 16-35mm f2.8 plus another quality 35mm f1.8 prime. With these two lenses, you will get very close, if not actually passing the cost of the 17-40mm. And let's be real, missing a shot at a client event because you're changing lenses, that can actually cost you more than the price difference of these lenses. If you're shooting occasionally, renting a 16-35mm f2.8 and a 13mm f1.8 for a month would cost you about as much as buying the Sigma outright. And what about long-term value? Well, let's talk about first time saved. Over weeks of shooting, I've calculated that I've saved about 10 minutes per shoot by not switching lenses. For shoots lasting hours, or if you have many shoots, that matters. When talking about resale value, on the other hand, Sigma art lenses hold about 70% of their value after about 2 years, if not more. So account for that if at some point you want to sell the lens. And on the other hand, if you're running a business, this qualifies as a tax-deductible purchase, but I know that's also not the case for everyone. And compared to the Sony 16-35mm f2.8, which costs about 1400 euros, the Sigma gives you an extra stop of light for less money. But does any of this actually matter in the field? Here's what I found. I have three types of shoots, the first one being events, and for this, which can be unpredictable, with lightning and people constantly moving among other things, with the Sigma at f1.8 it covered everything, from wide establishing shots to details, without me actually swapping lenses. The other type of shoot that I do is street photography, and of course compared to a recoil setup, it's heavier, but its versatility makes up for it. I could go wide or zoom without moving my feet, and when the sun goes down, the f1.8 keeps low lighting shooting easy. And of course we have content creation. You're seeing it right now. I use it for talking headshots, b-roll, and everything. There's no interruptions to swap lenses and no decision fatigue about focal lengths, which is great. You just have to focus on shooting. The real insight's here. Efficiency isn't just about gear. It's about mental clarity, because fewer choices free up brain power for composition, timing, creativity, and art. So which lenses are actually leaving my bag? This is the part that I struggled with the most. Could I really ditch my two favorite lenses for just one? But okay, confession time. I've been a die-hard fan of the Sigma 16mm f1.4 for video and the 18-50mm f2.8 for travel. But after weeks of real-world use, I'm officially retiring both. Why? Because the 17-40mm f1.8 lets me shoot video, travel, events, and portraits, all with one lens. No back shuffling, no missed moments. The Sigma 17-40mm sits right at the middle. It's wide enough for video, long enough for travel, and fast enough for low light. It's a two-in-one solution that simplifies my setup and saves me time. But if you do just one thing, the math changes a little bit. So here's the breakdown. If you only want to do video, then I would recommend you to go for the Sigma 16mm f1.4 because it's fast, it's as sharp, and it's more affordable. On the other hand, if you only want to do travel photography and videography, the Sigma 18-50mm f2.8 is great because it's lighter, it has a broader range, and it's more compact. And on the other hand, if you are doing both, so if you're a hybrid shooter doing video and travel photography, then I would recommend to go for the 17-40mm f1.8 because it covers both, it saves time, and it streamlines your kit. So again, if you're a hybrid shooter like me, this lens could be your new secret weapon. If you're single lane on the other hand, stick with the specialized glass that you have, it's still the best value. For my workflow specifically, which is constantly jumping between videos, travel, events, and portrait, often in the same day, this lens eliminates the constant swapping, repacking, and those moments when I'm fiddling with gear instead of capturing what's happening. For me, this lens replaces two workhorses and genuinely simplifies my workflow. But your workflow may be totally different. So here's what I want to know. What's your current lens setup and where does your workflow break down the most? Have you found a one lens solution that actually works? And do you have any other ways of improving workflow and efficiency that I haven't thought of? Drop your answers below and let's help each other out build smart systems. I would love to hear your ideas and maybe even change my workflow if I learn something new. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.